Hello out there to everyone in the verse. Gabby here with my weekly show where I do my best to offer up advice and solutions to the many interpersonal problems that any one of us might face, whether that be tackling relationship difficulties or just being an ear for someone in need. Tonight we have a couple of interesting stories I want to share, and of course a Dear Gabby update as well. Remember that if you have your own difficulty you would like to share, please mail in your concern or you can post it in the comments below and I will give my very best advice to you if chosen. So be sure to let me know your troubles for your own chance at a problem-solving take from the galactically known Gabby. So, Trumbull, I saw that we received some feedback from our most recent show. Am I to guess that some of our fans were not very happy with the latest show?
You could say that. I don't think it was anything to get up in arms over, but there were a few letters saying that our last show was phoning it in instead of the normal quality we put into our normal shows.
It did have a shorter runtime, but it was also a show coming off some of our busiest weeks of the year, so I had hoped the listeners would be sympathetic to us being absolutely drained. But it seems that we are in demand, which is a good problem to have, I suppose.
It sure is. None of the letters were mean-spirited, and I think they missed our normal runtime and high-quality conversations.
Well, Trumbull, all we can do is move forward, and I suppose we should have just taken the week off and played a rerun instead of shortchanging everyone. Lesson learned. Now, let's get on with this show, so Trumbull, do me a favor and roll the theme. Now I know you listeners are ready for Gabby to get into some problem solving, but first I gotta mention my dinner last night at Whammer's. I was on my way to an important meeting when hunger struck like a lightning storm on Genesis 2. Lucky for me, there was a Whammer's close by, and with so many locations spread around Stanton, chances are there's one close to you. Now, Gabby is not a big eater, so the 2 veggie burger combo was a bit much. But don't worry, because Whammer's has you covered with their a la carte style ordering as well. So be sure to cave into your craving and drop on by Whammer's, where it's always a good time, and for convenience sake, you can order ahead with their MobiGlass app to save even more time. Here, Trumbull, try these squash sticks. They're a delight.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Our first letter tonight comes to us from a veteran who experienced some disgraceful behavior recently, and they write, Dear Gabby in Space, I am a recently injured war vet who had to spend some time in medical recovery while I awaited a new arm implant, and I have to say that I was not treated very well. Apparently, there were some patients who were also there for different reasons, who found it funny to mock a one-armed veteran and try and shame me for being in the military. I understand people having the right to express their voice, but to openly mock someone who is injured just because you do not believe in the cause showed a new low in human behavior and had me wondering why I lost a limb for people so disrespectful. What are we fighting for when there are individuals who simply cannot show respect in this day and age just because their ideologies differ? Signed, Right Arm of Freedom. Dear Right Arm of Freedom, I first want to thank you for your service. Even though I have a stance against promoting weapon sponsors, it is in no way a reflection of my respect for the military or security forces that keep our verse safe. Now, as for your issue, I hate to say it, but sometimes we are all faced with some of the absolute worst examples of human behavior, and that is exactly what you have been the victim of here. I can understand them having their own opinions and maybe offering that opinion to you as a way to say that they wish it had not have happened to you, but that they hate conflict. But to present their side and then mock you is just not decent at all. I know it's hard to listen to me tell you to let it go and that you and the cause you fight for is worth fighting for. But that is exactly what I am telling you here. You fought so that they have that right, and even though they are the worst examples of using those rights, they still deserve to carry on with that right. My uncle had some of the same questions as you when he was wounded in action and came home to find ungrateful citizens, and I once asked him if it bothered him, and he told me, "No, Gabby, it does not, because the alternative is to live under the thumb of someone much worse, where no one will get to speak their mind, so we must take the good with the bad, even if they are little ungrateful." Thank you for your letter, and please keep in touch. Our second letter is, well, it's a good one, and so without any explanation, let me just get into it. And they write, "Dear Gabby in Space, I'm a pilot who takes on some deep space cargo hauls, and while I was out at a particularly deserted outpost, I had a strange encounter. It was nighttime, completely dark, and I had just left my ship to go inside to sell my cargo when I was suddenly frozen in place by what felt like a giant invisible hand, and then this red light surrounded the entire area. I could barely move, and when I looked up to see where the red light was coming from, my mind was suddenly filled with numerous memories going before my eyes, like my entire life catalog was being sucked up through a straw coming out of my head. It felt like I was in that red aura for maybe 30 seconds, but when it was over, I found that 2 days had passed and my ship had been towed away. No one had seen any sign of me, nor did they understand how I arrived 2 days later without a ship, since no one believed that it had happened. The security footage from that time only showed white static and not me landing or the red light incident. I have no words for what happened and was curious to know if you had ever heard of anything like this happening with one of your listeners. Signed, Red Light Abductee." Dear Red Light Abductee, I have never had anyone write in with such a story before, and while I have no explanation to offer, I will of course ask the obvious questions, not to belittle your experience, but just to confirm some explainable possibilities. Were you under the effects of any substances the day leading up to this happening, even if it's just medications? It's not unheard of to see certain medications mixed with various atmospheres that can cause hallucinations. Have you since been checked out medically to see if you possibly have some undiagnosed medical condition that can also cause various hallucinations under varying conditions, especially on different planets or moons? I am very interested in hearing more, and if you are serious about finding answers, I would advise you to try ruling out all of the normal positions that people will question first. I look forward to hearing from you further. It is now time for our Dear Gabby update, and this week's update comes to us from Well Documented Life, who is someone looking to change their normal mundane life, which for them they thought could mean trying to get to know more people. But I had suggested restraint and slowly easing into new social norms. So let's see how they are doing, and they write, "Dear Gabby in Space, thank you for the great response and advice you provided on your show. I started out by taking that advice. I slowly worked my way from people watching to trying to interact with various people. I went to a spaceport after a couple of weeks, and before I knew it, my conversation led to me signing up to serve on board a large freighter that makes jumps between Stanton and Terra. The crew is small, and even though it's been nice getting to know them, I just enjoy the traveling through space on this magnificent ship. I know this might seem like a steep jump from my ordinary life on Orison, but for now, I feel content sailing through the stars. I'm looking forward to possibly setting foot on Terra when we arrive, but then again, I might just stay on the ship or station when we dock. I haven't decided yet, but either way, I am not feeling any pressure. Thank you, and I will keep you updated and ask for any help if I feel the need come up. Signed, Well Documented Life." Well, I have to say that I am quite surprised you took such a huge plunge, but I am happy it worked out for you, and you might be someone who never enjoys having many friends, and instead is someone whose soul belongs out there with the stars, which could be what you were missing all along. I look forward to hearing what you do in Terra, and thanks for the update. That is all for this week's show. Tune in next week, and until then, I hope you all stay safe out there in the verse. Me and Trumbull wish you all well. Thank you for watching. Say goodnight, Trumbull.
Good night, Trumbull.